What's up, y'all?
Welcome, welcome.
Welcome. We are here,
Live. In action.
in action. You're Hazel Joy.
And your Lindsay does it.
And this is the Millennials podcast.
Yeah, man.
Well, first of all, Hazel, it's so good to see you. It's been so long since we've sat down and done this. 'Cause this isn't our first time doing this with each
It's
other.
not our first rodeo.
Nope.
And yeah, it's been 5 years since our last recording of our old show. Thanks for
Exactly.
the music.
Yes.
Thanks for the
Culture.
Shout out J Rose. We miss you. Hearts. And yeah. And then before that, we had the layover show.
Before that, we had the layover show.
years and years ago. Moons and moons ago.
Many moons. What's that? What was
Many
it?
moons.
2012.
Dang.
That was 2012.
Or when it started.
When it started.
Yeah.
Yes. And I was there for the first episode of that.
OG right here.
Definitely.
Miss Traklife OG.
Yeah. Or actually, was it the second episode? I can't remember. My brain as a millennial is not what it used to be.
I know. We were talking about lingos, and I'm not familiar with the current lingos.
I
of
definitely-
the Gen Z.
I definitely don't feel old until I'm in the room with somebody younger than me.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of millennials,
Yeah.
our new show, The Millennials, is a play off millennials and being Filipino American.
That's right.
Filipina, because we're Pinays.
Women.
Pinays.
Be nice.
AKA girls, women. And yeah, man, I'm just excited to be back on the mic with you, Linz, because like we said
Likewise.
earlier, it has been years, and I just want to know what's been going on in your life.
Oh my gosh. So since the recording of our last episode, I've been DJing. I don't want to call myself a DJ because I respect the craft too much. And those of y'all that actually put all your passion, hours, and your whole life into it, I respect you. I don't want to call myself a DJ. I'm just someone that DJs.
She's the DJ, okay?
Yeah. Well, again, I'm not a DJ.
You gotta give yourself some credit, though.
I feel like
She's big timer now. She's acting humble, but she just played at Dodgers.
I did
So,
just play
come on.
Dodger Stadium, Centerfield
Yes.
Plaza. Shout out to Doc, who's a Traklife fam. He actually helped me with the booking. He booked me to do it. Shout out to the Dodgers, LA baby. Let's go LA. Yeah, I've been having fun doing the DJing thing, being involved in Miche, which is a Traklife like break-off company consisting of DJs who celebrate remix music, remix culture, and remix art. So if you catch me at any of my gigs, chances are I'm going to be playing a remix music or mashup. So that's what we love.
So how was it playing at the Dodger Stadium? That's huge. That's a big deal. She's the DJ, not a DJ. Remember that.
I couldn't sleep the night before. I really couldn't. I spent so much time trying to curate a playlist. And thankfully it paid off. I felt so much more relaxed knowing exactly what I was going to play when I got there. I did take a couple of requests and I kind of nailed those too. So I'm kind of, pat on the back.
Amazing.
Because a lot of times I don't really work well spontaneously, but the vibes were there. All the Dodger fans that gave me great smiles, feedback, and were dancing along with me in front of my booth, they just gave me life.
How
So-
nervous were you on a scale of 1 to 10?
Oh,
10
yeah.
being most nervous.
I would say, you know what? I don't want to be overly dramatic. I'll say 7.5, 8. I couldn't sleep the night before because I was too anxious and I wanted to prepare. And actually walking into the stadium, disclosure, I'm a bad Los Angelino because I've never been to the Dodgers, a Dodgers game.
Was that
I've
your
never
first
been-
game?
That was my first game,
Ooh.
my first time at Dodger Stadium. So walking in, I didn't know what to expect, and I got a tiny bit overwhelmed. But once I got set up and I was able to relax and chill before go time, I was good. Yeah.
Amazing.
good.
You're amazing. She's
Aw, thanks,
the
Hazel.
DJ, okay? She's stop being so humble.
Thanks, Hazel. Well, speaking of amazing, Hazel's done many amazing things in her life, including being a mom.
Ah, yeah, that's the biggest challenge, biggest hurdle, biggest life-changing event. Definitely that's been going on since we last recorded in the last 5 years. Well, my son, Malachi, he just turned 1, but the big birthday party is coming up. And by the time this airs, the party already happened. But yeah, he is a bundle of joy. And I say that with he's just, the love is just, it's like your literal heart just walking around and doing things. And it just blows my mind how he is growing so fast, and they really say time flies when you have kids. Like, it's because you're watching them grow, and then you're just so amazed by all the things they do, and his like curiosity for the world. It's so inspiring because you know, he just wants to be in the action, and his personality is just growing every day, and it's like the cutest thing in the world. And I know everybody says he looks like my husband, JP, but, you know, I keep saying, like, no, he has a little bit of me in there. I just, like, keep thinking that, but
I see it sometimes in some photos. I'm like, I see a little bit of Hazel.
I think when he's making, like, certain facial expressions, I think he can, like,
when he's upset.
Yeah, when he's like not smiling. When he's not smiling. But my husband did say that when he was first born, like the first thing he said was, he looks just like you. Literally, that was the first thing he said when he was born. And I was like, well, it had to make me laugh because I was like, you're just saying that. But thank you.
Just gassing you up.
Like, because he's crying. Okay, he's making my cry face. Thanks.
But
yeah, so that was, it's been really fun to watch him grow, and now he's walking, so he's hitting that crazy milestone, and he's just mayhem.
Oh my gosh.
But in the best way, you know.
Do you predict anything for his future? Like, do you think he'll be interested in the same thing you and JP are interested in?
I think so. And I don't know if that's just wishful thinking, because, you know, every parent wants their kid to be interested in the same things they are. But there are certain things that I feel like he does love doing. Like, I think I know music is in his blood, because when I was pregnant with him and I would play music, he would be kicking a lot, and then now he loves to sing and dance. Like, if there's music, he kind of just does his little baby babble, and then when he's like listening to music, he loves dancing. Like, he'll do his little bounce, and that reminds me of my Hyphy movement, because he'll do his legs, like he'll just do this bounce thing,
you
like
guys,
he's getting Hyphy.
Back in the day, in the good old days when Traklife used to have a weekly residency in Little Tokyo at Blue Jay Lounge, no longer there, RIP.
It's now Noipits,
It's
right?
now Noipits.
Is it still there? Noipits?
Filipino restaurant. It's still there.
Yeah, okay.
I think the last time I went was a couple months ago. It's still there. Anytime we would play Hyphy music, if you didn't know where Hazel was, you just wait. You just look out. She'll come out bouncing from the back, just bouncing.
It can get pretty dangerous too. I advise you not to be anywhere near me if I'm getting Hyphy, because I literally have given one of my best friends a black eye on accident. She's just like a bit taller than me. Well, everybody's taller than me. And she got a black eye, and we were in Vegas at a pool party, and we were getting Hyphy, and it got real crazy at the pool party.
Oh my God.
That was years and years ago when I used to be really, really fun.
Back before you had the responsibility of a baby.
Yeah.
You're still fun, Hazel. You just, you know,
Thanks.
but you can only be fun like on a limited time.
Yeah.
In
it
small doses.
It can't get too crazy, but yeah. You know, but it's been really fun being a mom, and like I love it a lot. And yeah, so that's what I've been really mostly up to lately. Not really much other than being a mom.
There we go. I mean, that's much, actually.
Yeah, it is much.
That is much. Well, it's good to finally have you across from me, sharing a mic.
Technically next.
Like, good old, yeah.
like next to each other.
Like the good old days. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm more than ready to continue this podcast journey with you.
Yeah, super exciting.
Definitely.
And shout out Traklife, the new studio. We are out here in LA, downtown now, and back and like upgraded equipment, which is amazing. Shout out to the squad. Shout out Irvin, Mac, Aaron, Cubby for making this happen.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. The Millennials. What are we going to be talking about on this podcast?
So like you covered earlier, the Millennials are basically us, Filipina American millennials. That's such a loaded phrase and a loaded term, because we're Filipina American who've been on the earth a millennia. No, I'm just kidding. But the age that we are, we don't know a lot about our own heritage, our Filipino heritage. So I think during this podcast, we're going to be exploring Filipino history, Filipino quirks, food, and maybe, you know, even down to like superstitions, myth, urban legends that we all love that probably were taught to us by our grandmas or grandpas.
It's just really interesting because, you know, obviously being born and raised out here, we're completely Americanized, but we are heavily influenced by our Filipino culture. So what really inspired us to do this podcast was just to educate ourselves and our audience and our guests that come through, whether it be like trying snacks or learning Tagalog words, whatever it may be, history. I just thought that it would be good to get back to our roots.
Definitely.
And see what that's about, and you know, maybe you guys can learn a thing or two.
Absolutely. And we hope you guys actually learn something after listening to each of our episodes, whether it be like a funny joke or something that you can teach your friends, or even go up to your mom and dad like, hey, mom and dad, why didn't you ever teach me this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let us be the teachers. of your
Exactly.
culture. Okay, maybe not that serious, but we hope that we can shed a little bit of light on the Filipino culture for you guys.
Yeah. And also, I mean, just basically sharing our life experiences through our lens, living in LA. Technically, I'm in Long Beach area, and
I'm in
there you go.
Gardena. I was raised in Hawthorne.
Wait, that's part of
Born
LA
and
though,
raised.
right? Gardena.
LA County, yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Dang,
South
don't put your
Bay.
address out there. She's like, I'm in Gardena.
I live in 11255.
Damn, Liz, calm down. We don't
Send
want
me
no
gifts.
we don't want no stalkers
I
on
know,
your
right?
on
Oh,
your hands. Well, anyways,
Yeah.
but yeah, so just a lot of fun stuff. And so you want to get into our Tagalog word or phrases?
Well,
of the
actually,
day? Am I jumping ahead?
another part of our podcast is the millennial
Oh,
part.
yeah.
So, we're not Gen Z, we're not Gen X, we're the millennials. I guess you could say we're kind of like Gen Y. So we're in between. So we're going to be sharing a lot of perspective from a millennial lens. So whether it be about music, entertainment, news, things going on in the world, you're going to hear it from a millennial standpoint. And we're going to definitely be reminiscing about the good old days when we were a little bit younger.
Okay, but did you know, isn't it crazy how they supposedly have museums with millennial things?
I can't believe that. Like, are we really, like, when I think of museums, I think of like natural history, like dinosaurs. Is that what we are now?
We're dinosaurs. There's
Fossilized?
a lot of, yeah, because there's a lot of terms and lingo that I don't know. And I was just asking you earlier, what was it? Bussin'? What does bussin' mean? I don't even know.
Apparently, bussin' doesn't mean public transportation. It means something that tastes really good if you're eating, or like, yeah, I think it's mostly a good word for good food.
I kid you not, I did not know that. I've heard the term, but I guess I never really paid attention to in what context it was being used.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't understand any of it. But that's why we're going to ask you to teach
Help
us or me.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't know.
I need help too. I can't lie. I can't front like I know what you young kids are talking about.
Or
on
we'll
a
bust
day-to-day
out the
basis.
Urban Dictionary, right?
Yeah, exactly. And even that could be wrong, because who knows? Maybe it might be millennials writing Urban
Oh
Dictionary.
man, that would be not good for us, because then I'll never know. Just kidding. Well, anyways, okay, so should we get into the Tagalog word or phrase of the day?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, well, I kept it simple for this episode since it's the first one and we're starting with it. So I don't even know, like, if I'm even wrong, then you guys can correct us. But okay, so we have magandang umaga, which means
Good morning.
but it's nighttime. We're recording and it's nighttime now. So then it would be magandang
Gabi.
gabi. See, I almost
Yeah.
forgot. Gabi. So gabi is night. Maganda. We're gonna get so clowned on our English, our American accent.
Please
Okay.
give us a little bit of grace.
Yeah, because if I remember growing up and speaking a lot of Tagalog, or not a lot, but copying like my mom and them. Oh, let me backtrack. How I learned Tagalog was I was just that kid, like curious kid that would ask every single phrase or word, like, what does this mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? And I remember being a nosy child and sitting at the table with all my mom and her sisters, all the titas, all the aunts, and just like, copying every phrases they say, and
All the chismes.
all the chismes, all the gossip. And then I would just like ask, like, what does that mean? And then I remember also going around my house and just like repeating a phrase over and over that my mom would say. And I still do that to this day, actually. And she just laughs at me. But I do know, like, I would get made fun of for the American accent coming out.
Oh, gotcha.
But,
yeah.
hey, I was trying. That's how I learned, though.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You did more than me, because I mean, I think, and I don't want to blame it on this one incident, but I remember being like either in kindergarten or first grade, and I was trying to communicate with like one of my classmates, and I said a word that was in Tagalog, or like my dad's dialect with this Chavacano, and my classmates had no idea what I was talking about, and I thought I was speaking English. You know what I mean? And then after that, I was just like, why don't they understand what I'm talking
So
about?
you thought you were speaking English.
Yes.
And it was actually
It was
Ilocano.
actually either Chavacano
Oh, Chavacano.
or Tagalog. I can't remember.
Chavacano is another dialect.
It is. We'll get into that a little bit later. I think Chavacano is like a super cool language. But
Interesting.
yeah, so that was kind of a little bit, it kind of made me a little shy maybe to you know,
How old were you?
I was either in first grade or kindergarten.
Interesting. So would
Yeah.
you say that you were fluent when you were younger?
Definitely not. Definitely not. When I started going to school, and I think this is the same for a lot of Filipino first generation Americans, when I started going to school and I started learning English and I started doing homework in English and all this stuff, my parents were kind of more encouraging with me learning English than actually me learning Tagalog and Chabacano. And I think they benefited from me being in school because they were learning some words too that they didn't know in English because they weren't completely fluent yet. And so I think that kind of I don't know, unspoken type of communication in our household, it just got established that way. And so later on, when I would go like into family parties and stuff, you know, I would be with my cousins and we would communicate in English. And then like my parents would be with the titas and titos and they would talk in their language. And I just always saw that separation.
Interesting.
And never really thought to integrate myself with my older relatives because they were speaking different language. I kind of almost thought that was like a boundary.
Really?
Yeah.
But they didn't speak Tagalog or how do you say it?
Chabacano.
Chabacano to you? It was always like English.
Very sparse.
Interesting.
Very sparse. Well, I had some aunties and uncles that were very much comfortable speaking with their nieces and nephews and grandkids in their native language. And sometimes I would just catch what they were talking about, but I would communicate back in English.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was, for me, definitely my parents spoke a lot of Tagalog with me. It was a lot of English and Tagalog, but I do understand Tagalog fluently like it's English, so I don't even know what it sounds like to a foreign ear. But I do know my aunts and uncles also would speak to me in Tagalog and I would answer in English. So I don't know if that's why I learned better, but I am very surprised at how much I do know and understand compared to other people. And you do. Like, I thought you knew more than me for some reason. So you're born and raised in Hawthorne.
Yes.
Okay. So I was actually born in Illinois, but moved to SoCal pretty much when I was a baby. So just raised in Cali. And yeah, I guess it just was in my family to just speak to us in Tagalog, and I just like understood it. So I don't know any more than that, but yeah, so that's my history with learning Tagalog.
That's super interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like when I look at my cousins, even the ones younger than me, slightly younger than me, they're fluent. And so I kind of wish, I mean, not saying that my parents did anything wrong, but I kind of wish it was more, it was spoken more to me at home. I grew up with my grandma as well. She lived with us, and she spoke no English, but I could somewhat understand her.
So she spoke to you in Tagalog?
In Chabacano.
Chabacano.
Yeah, she spoke to me in Chabacano, but it was very much like very almost caveman like very basic words, very basic reactions, very basic, like it was more speaking with your hands and like things like that.
And you can still remember some Chabacano?
I definitely can.
Nice. So my mom is Bisaya, but she is kind of like me in that she understands Bisaya but doesn't know how to speak it that well. So Bisaya is another dialect. There's like over how many? We'll probably get into another episode.
We will definitely
the
get into how
are
many.
Like,
yeah.
So many.
But like the main official language of the Philippines is Tagalog.
Yeah.
And funny enough, I love how we're like going over Tagalog words today because I actually downloaded Rosetta Stone earlier this year. And after about 2 weeks, I just stopped using it. I was actually inspired to download it because I went to the Philippines earlier this year. And it was really hard for me to communicate with especially my uncle.
In Chabacano?
In Chabacano. Oh, no, sorry, Tagalog.
Oh.
So my mom's side is Tagalog, my dad's side is Chabacano. So when I went to the Philippines, it was for my mom's side of the family. And my mom's oldest brother didn't speak English. Her sisters and younger siblings knows English like fluently, but my oldest uncle, he doesn't know it. So I promised him, I was like, next time I see you, uncle, I'm going to be fluent in Tagalog. And so that's why I downloaded Rosetta Stone, and then I kind of stopped using it.
I mean, I feel like if we moved there, we'd be forced to really practice, and then we'd probably get better at it. But it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind if we're always communicating in English. And it just kind of is what it is. Because I feel like sad, too, that I wasn't enforced to speak it back. But I know that if I really tried, then I could.
Yeah.
It would just be like broken English.
Right. Well, you'll be surprised if you went to the Philippines now you'd be surprised at how much English is spoken there fluently by people our age, a little bit older, and everyone younger than us. They learn English in school.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you
Don't
wouldn't
even
be
need
encouraged
to.
to like
Yeah.
learn Tagalog. I mean, maybe some like TV shows and stuff. I
That's
mean,
true.
it's in full Tagalog, so maybe you might have to, have a hard time like understanding that if you're not fluent. But day-to-day communication, everyone speaks English.
Speaking of movies, I do remember also growing up and always watching Filipino movies. My mom would rent them and then we would always watch it and I was just into it.
Were you one of
Yeah.
those kids that grew up with TFC in the household?
Yeah, kind of. But I didn't really get into the soap opera dramas and things like that. So it was more just watching the movies because my mom and dad would like rent those movies and then I would know some famous actors like Sharon Cuneta and Robin Padilla. Robin Padilla was one of my favorites. I don't know what any of them are up to now, but it was just like when I was growing up, that's like what I remember.
The only other actor I can name now is Dolphy.
I think I know who you're talking about.
That's the only other actor I can name right now. But yeah, I didn't grow up with TFC as a channel. So, but my relatives did. And whenever we would go over for family parties, they would have it on the TV and I would never pay attention to it. I think because I never like grew up with it. It wasn't in my house. So why would I go to a family party just to watch the
it
TV?
because you want to play with your cousins at that point.
Exactly.
Like, why bother?
Exactly.
Our next Tagalog word would be kamusta. Kamusta ka? How are you?
Kamusta ka?
Kamusta ka? It's
Say
almost
along.
like Spanish. There's a lot of Spanish influence because the Spaniards colonized the Philippines. So that's why there's a lot of similarities. And so what in Spanish is como está, and then in Tagalog it's kamusta ka. It's pretty close, but
It
it's
is
obviously spelled way different too.
Definitely. And the proper response to kamusta ka?
Mabuti.
Mabuti.
Which is good.
Definitely.
So there's no way to say you're doing bad if you want to say bad.
The response would be like, kamusta ka? That's
true.
the hesitation. Oh, by the way, that's such a Filipino thing.
gonna say that.
The pause.
Like, do you have uncles or titos that just say like in the way that they speak English? They're like, like,
Yeah.
well,
Definitely.
the way Manny Pacquiao used to talk, right?
Oh my gosh. Manny Pacquiao, our beloved Manny Pacquiao, the face and the voice of the Philippines. Oh my gosh. Remember when Drake parodied him for an ESPYs award?
Did he?
Segment?
All right, we gotta play that.
Good. It
Little
actually
clip.
was so good. I hate Drake. Because Drake is so good at making fun of people.
Okay.
Yeah.
You hate Drake.
I hate Drake
She's
for the
putting
fact
it
that-
out there. Now he's never going to want to come on our show.
I hate him because he's so good at what he does.
Okay, Lynn's good catch there. She saved herself.
But yeah, definitely. There's like so many like interesting quirks of Filipinos that we could just talk about, including the yeah.
But okay, so my mom she came to America when she was around, I want to say 18. So she was pretty young already. And I feel like she's pretty Americanized. So she doesn't really, what's the term? Fob out. If you don't know what fob means, fresh off the boat. So her accent isn't as crazy as, like the thick Tagalog accent, but she has her moments. Shout out moms, I love you.
She does.
Don't
And you
hate
know
me.
what I was going to tell you, Hazel? Like, I can kind of sort of see how your mom has been here since she was young.
Yeah.
Because she's not as conservative and not as uptight as maybe some other
More strict parents.
immigrant parents
Yeah.
are. She's like very carefree, which is kind of an American thing to be, right?
Yeah,
is carefree
definitely.
and loving life,
Yeah.
Not saying like other Filipinos don't, but
Yeah. Well, this has been such a fun episode. For our
Definitely.
first episode back.
just a taste of
I
what we're going to touch on.
We have so many other fun things coming up that we can't wait for you guys to check out. And yeah, you guys don't forget to like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Share with your friends.
Definitely share.
Tell us what you learned. Teach us a thing or two. If we missed something, do we pronounce something wrong? Which we probably will at one point or another. And share some snacks that you want us to try.
Oh, yeah.
And where can they follow us and find our podcast?
We are streaming on every major streaming platform, and we are on Traklife.com. So definitely check out Traklife.
Traklife.
Yeah, and follow us on all social medias. We have an Instagram, a TikTok, and all that good stuff. Everywhere you are, we are. So find us.
Hey, I like that. All right, well, tune into the next one.
We'll see you then.
Peace.